How they say, save the drama for your mama. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki breaking down into tears over some so-called anti-LGBT legislation that has been passed or proposed all over the country in various states. I think the most notable of these bills is the Florida Parental Rights and Education Bill, also known as the Don't Say Gay Bill, which is now law, which basically says, hey, if you are in kindergarten, you can't be taught about gender identity and things that are inappropriate for a child to know when you're talking about sexuality and whatnot. Okay, that's not really a bad thing. Obviously, actually, it's not a bad thing. It's a very good thing. But some people feel like it's attacking LGBT. And before we get into the video, which I have a question. Why is it seen as anti-LGBT to not teach children, little kids, Goo Gaga barely running around, toddlers? Why is it seen as a bad thing to not be able to teach them about sexuality? What's going on with that? What's the end game? What's the ulterior motive? I don't know, but I digress. Let's go ahead and get into this particular clip of Jen Psaki crying. I saw a little bit of it. I've not seen the entire thing, but we're going to watch it right here, and you're going to get kind of a live reaction from me on the whole situation. And if you want to see this in its entirety without my commentary, the links will always be in the description box below.
The political games and harsh and cruel attempts at laws that we're seeing in some states like Florida, that is not a reflection of the country moving to oppose LGBTQ plus communities. That is not what we see in data. That is not factual. And that is not where things stand. This is a political wedge issue and an attempt to win a culture war.
So basically she's saying the attempts at keeping children away from inappropriate stuff like gender identity, sexuality, some things that even adults would blush at, the attempt to keep kids away from that is somehow a political thing that is being ginned up by, I suppose, conservative Republicans on the right. Maybe that's kind of what's going on in her mind.
They're doing that in a way that is harsh and cruel to a community of kids, especially. I'm like going to get emotional about this issue because it's horrible. But you know, it's like kids who are bullied, and like all these leaders are taking steps to hurt them and hurt their lives and hurt their families. And
I hear a bunch of like crying type sounds. I'm hearing crying sounds, but I don't see crying tears. So this is what you call crocodile tears. You're not doing a very convincing job right here. Okay. Yeah. I'm not really convinced. I'm not feeling the emotion, Ms. Psaki.
And you look at some of these laws in these states, and it is going after parents who are in loving relationships, who have kids. It's completely outrageous. But it is a wedge issue. Sorry. This is an issue that makes me completely crazy. But it is an issue that is a political wedge issue. It is not a reflection of where the country is.
Okie dokie. So that's that from Jen Psaki. We got an article right here. I'm gonna kind of get through it a little bit. This is on advocates.com. I don't know about this website at all. I suppose it's kind of left-leaning, but I could be wrong. You see the headline, Jen Psaki got emotional while discussing Republican attacks on LGBTQ+. Just say every letter in the alphabet. Just sing the alphabet song from Sesame Street, A, B, C, D. Just do that. Okay, just say that and be done with it. But anyway, LGBTQ element of children, right? Now, I'm not sure how, again, saying that you can't teach little kids about sexuality, 5 years old. Why should a 5-year-old know about sexuality? How is that an attack on them? And then my thing is, how do you know that a child is LGBTQ? Because at the end of the day, when you're talking about this community, LGBT, it's about sexuality, yes. How do you know a 5-year-old is LGBT? How can you know that? It's like the whole thing why they try to say, you know if you're going to be transgender when you're 5, 6 years. How can you know that? I thought I was a Power Ranger as a little boy. I was a Ninja Turtle, an X-Man, a Power Ranger. I was a Ford F-150. I was a broom, a frog, all of that. But nobody ever brought me to the hospital and said, okay, put on some frog chemicals or put some diesel fuel in his cereal in the morning. Nobody never said that. It just let me be a boy and grow up. And then once I grow up, I can decide whoever I want to be. If I decide I want to look like, if I want to identify as an 18-wheeler and an on-the-road trucker at the same time, like combined in one, then, hey, if I want to believe that's my prerogative, but I do that when I become an adult, not when I'm 5, 6 years old. And I most certainly shouldn't be taught about this from teachers in school. But we'll kind of get to this article. We ain't going to read the whole thing. I ain't going to bore you to death. But let's see. The press secretary audibly broke down during a podcast interview when the subject turned to the latest rash of anti-LGBTQ plus legislation being passed by the Republican Party. That's a broad stroke. It's just like different states have these things. And at a certain point, I think a lot of Democrats may be in favor of these rules that are being passed. I mean, just, okay, so if you're a Democrat, does that mean that you automatically support sexualizing children? I wouldn't say that just for any old Democrat out there, because I got Democrat family members and they're not on that. They're not on that. So it's unfair to say it's the Republican Party. Maybe it's just conservatives that are, in front of it. But a lot of Democrats, Republicans, Independent, they supported it as well. But here's some of the article. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki was moved to tears during an interview when a lot of these things about LGBTQ passed by GOP came up. Podcast host Jessica Yellen. I have no idea what the podcast is, so if you guys are asking me, I don't know. Maybe I can find something, put it in the box. But podcast host Jessica Yellen asked Psaki for her thoughts on recent legislation and whether its motivation was sincere or, quote, organized political attempt to create a wedge issue. Yeah, and she said, ding, 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 that's correct. So we already talked about that. It's a wedge issue, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to get emotional. Psaki specifically pointed to the example of Florida's Don't Say Gay law, which prevents teachers from being able to teach, to acknowledge or discuss LGBTQ issues or identities with their students. I mean, again, I don't really see what's so bad. This wasn't too much in this article, but they're trying to say that somehow Jen Psaki was correct in what she was saying, that you should be able to teach kids about sexuality and whatnot. See, this is the reason why accounts like Libs of TikTok and all the other ones out there that will, I don't want to say promote, but a lot of these accounts that highlight, that's a better word, they highlight what the left do on a day-to-day basis. They're so essential, because without a lot of these accounts, we would not necessarily even know about some of these things that are happening inside of schools. Critical race theory, the LGBTQ plus takeover. I mean, every single day, especially on Libs of TikTok. And again, if you're not following them on Twitter, please do so. LIBSOFTIKTOK right now on Twitter. No ad, just a good account to follow. But if you're on there and you look at their videos that they repost that teachers post themselves on on TikTok, it's a mess, man. You got all kind of stuff going on, just weird, ridiculous stuff. It's to the point where you have drag queens and kings teaching little kids in the classroom. It's like that. It's like that. And I mean, whatever, like the good old days when I was a kid, right? Back in the 90s, maybe even late 80s when I was a little boy. We had teachers that were like meemaws, you know what I'm saying? Or just like really square guys. Let's go back to those days when we had like regular people teaching class, rather than these people that are clearly activists, that clearly have an ulterior motive, and that, quite frankly, are clearly dangerous. A lot of these guys, I would not trust around kids at all. If I had kids and I saw some of these teachers, I'd call the federales immediately, like, hey, man, put this guy on the watch list, go to his house right now and subpoena his laptop. I guarantee you're going to find something, okay? I'm seeing smoke all in his classroom. I'm seeing LGBTQ flag, Black Lives Matter, Ukraine. I'm seeing everything in the classroom. And I'm seeing a picture of him and his partner on the beach, shirts off. No, go to his house right now, search the computer, and see what you can find, and holler back. And if you can get him on a federal indictment, I'll give you, if you can't get him on a federal indictment, I eat my shoe. You're going to get something from these guys if you look. These guys and girls should not be in the classroom. And the Florida bill, along with other bills across the nation, are designed to prevent them from being there, number one. And if they are going to be there, like maybe you don't identify, maybe you can't really see them, they've not done anything illegal. If they are there, it prevents them from being able to groom your children. The answer for the answer I would have to this whole thing as I close, speaking about education and whatnot, it'd be to have more homeschool, more private school, charters. But even in private and charter, you have some of the weird stuff going on. Not all the time, obviously, but sometimes you do. And homeschool is not always an option. The average normie will send their kids to public school. That's just what it is. So we got to be able to fix that institution rather than just saying abandon it, because that's not always an option for everyone. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about Jen Psaki's crocodile tears? Did you believe him? Did you not believe him? Whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. I didn't believe it for 1 second. I'm hearing crying sounds. Oh, all that. I'm hearing all that, but I'm not seeing any tears. Your face is dry as the Sahara Desert. It is what it is. Okay, I'm not believing it. This whole thing's like the Truman Show. It's reality TV. I don't believe anything I see. You go to the White House, they got a stage of the White House across the street from the actual White House. Why? What's the purpose? This all is so fake. That's why a lot of us don't even believe real videos when they come out. Like, I'll post something like, man, that's fake. That's false flag. I understand why we don't believe things that are true, because we see so much fake stuff every single day. We become jaded. It's like, I don't care if I see it right in front of my eyes, like witness it personally, live, 3D, in person, I'm still not going to believe it, because we've been damaged so much by these people keep putting out fake narratives, fake stories, fake news, fake emotions, fake feelings, fake people. It's getting to be a little bit too much. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.